Welcome to another video podcast from the Burlington County Chamber of Commerce. In this program, membership lunch and remarks from New Jersey's first Lieutenant Governor, Kim Guadagno, recorded March 9, 2011, in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. At the lectern to introduce today's speaker is Dr. Stephen Kolisk, the CEO of Virtua Memorial Hospital and the 2011 chair of the Board of Directors of the Burlington County Chamber of Commerce.
Today's guest speaker is New Jersey First Lieutenant Governor Kim Guadagno. As Lieutenant Governor, Kim Guadagno has led the Christie administration's efforts to improve New Jersey's economic vitality, to streamline government, and to make business feel welcome again in New Jersey. She operates the Business Action Center, which is a one-stop shop for business retention, attraction, and expansion. She leads the New Jersey Red Tape Review Commission, which works to streamline and revise any regulation which may hamper business growth in our state. Lieutenant Governor Guadagno currently serves as New Jersey's 33rd Secretary of State. As Secretary of State, she is the state's chief election officer, oversees promotion of New Jersey's $38 billion tourism industry, and administers programs related to art, culture, and history. You can see that she is clearly focused on improving the economic viability of New Jersey. Please join me in welcoming our keynote speaker, Lieutenant Governor Kim Guadagno.
I thought that was fabulous. At least we didn't start with how old am I. I like that. Half a century old, that's all you need to know, and I'm exaggerating, not that much. Thank you for having me this afternoon. I look forward to spending a little time talking to you about what I do all the time, or better yet, what you pay me to do all the time, and I think that's the tone I'd like to set. Everything I do, Colonel, very nice to meet you, Colonel. Sorry, I wanted to make my hellos to everybody, and they rushed me in and out so quickly. You're lucky to have the Colonel here. You know, she runs the largest joint base in the country. Congratulations, Colonel, for what you do. I thank you for that. Fabulous, fabulous. And there's a lot of work we can do there to put people in New Jersey back to work, and we're going to spend some time doing that over the next year. Now that I have my feet wet, you know, I came into this office and we were $2 billion behind the day we walked in the door. We literally swore the governor of the state of New Jersey in, and then quickly and quietly swore in the treasurer, so the treasurer could go and stop the wire transfers that were going out the door as the last administration left and the new administration came in. So if you saw any scrambling at the War Memorial behind us as the governor was getting sworn in, it's because literally the treasurer was going to stop the wire transfers, to stop the bleeding, because we had been told, now we were sworn in January, we had been told that we could not make cash payroll in March. Now you guys are business people. What if your accountant sat down and said to you, oh, by the way, you're out of money in March? Well, you would stop the bleeding. And that's what we did the very first day, the very first minute we walked in the door. We stopped the bleeding and we closed the $2 billion budget gap. That took us the first 2 months. And then immediately after that, we had to start closing an $11 billion budget gap, which we did. And we did it in a way I believe is the most sane way in the most overtaxed residents and state in the country, and that is by not increasing taxes on all of us. So we successfully got a budget that was balanced, notwithstanding an $11 billion budget gap, without increasing taxes. In fact, we allowed taxes, CBT taxes, to sunset, and we vetoed efforts by some of those on the other side of the aisle to increase taxes and close that gap on the backs of the businesses in New Jersey. So it's been a pretty interesting year. I think if you open the newspaper, you open the Wall Street Journal today, open the Burlington Times today, you're going to see a very different conversation about what's going on in New Jersey than the one you saw a year ago. A year ago, you had 10% unemployment, a little higher down here, maybe a lot higher down here. As I stand here today, we have 9.1%. Now, that's not great, but at least we're going in the right direction. A year ago, I would make economic development calls Forget for a moment nobody knew there was a lieutenant governor in New Jersey. I would be making economic development calls to companies outside of New Jersey saying, come to New Jersey. And they would say, what? What, are you kidding me? Why would I come to New Jersey, the worst possible place in the country for a small business to open its doors? Fast forward a year. I now get to make phone calls to people that say things like this. I talked to Rico this morning, said things like this. I said, thanks for staying in New Jersey with your 1,200 jobs. What can I do to make your life easier? And the answer is, you can get me a meeting with the governor. Everybody wants to meet our governor. I said, I will get you a meeting with your governor if you bring 500 jobs to New Jersey. So he said, is that the deal? I said, that's the deal. And so now I hope I've convinced that company to go out and try to consolidate here in New Jersey. That's my job. That's what I do. That's what you pay the lieutenant governor of the state of New Jersey to do. There hasn't been one before. I was just trying to figure it out this morning. In 2005, when we all voted to have a lieutenant governor, because there'd been some missing governors over the last couple of years prior to 2005, we're not going to go into why. It's on both sides of the aisle is all you need to know, especially with your chamber president. We're not going to talk about why. All we're going to say is that in 2005, they voted to create the office of lieutenant governor. In 2005, I was not an elected public official. I don't even think I voted for that statute because as a Republican, I was a registered Republican. I thought the lieutenant governor job could only increase bureaucracy, can only add to my tax bill, can only do something stupid that politicians would have her do. And so I don't even think in 2005, when the state of New Jersey passed this constitutional amendment creating the office of lieutenant governor, that I voted for this office. Because I know as well as you do that it had the tendency to create bureaucracy. And this governor, if nothing else, has been very clear about how we're going to run this government. It's going to be leaner. I'm not going to say the next part. Rhymes with leaner. Some people would argue it's meaner. I am the warmer, fuzzier side of the Christie administration. We know that. The introduction that we got, you may not have, we didn't talk about it. I was the sheriff of Monmouth County before I became the lieutenant governor of the state of New Jersey, and therefore I got to carry a gun and wear a bulletproof vest. I am considered the warmer, fuzzier part of the Christie-Guadagno administration. And while I did pack my gun at the door, because I would be way too likely to use it in Trenton, I did keep my bulletproof vest because I need that bulletproof vest to survive the world that we live in under the Gold Dome about 45 minutes from here. Anyway, so we're getting back to what does the lieutenant governor do? The lieutenant governor in this administration does not have its own office. When I walked in the door, I did not have a salary. I did not have an office. I did not have a portfolio. I did not have a pension. And we knew we weren't going to be able to create any of that without drawing a lot of ugly attention on us. So what we did was we looked at the floor plan of the State House and decided that down the hall from the governor's office was the Secretary of State's office. Some people around the country think the Secretary of State is also the commercial recording office and also the business development office. So we decided we would take the present Secretary of State's office, give me that office, give me that salary, give me that portfolio, and then create an office whose job it was to encourage economic growth in New Jersey. And that's what we've done. So you all, as you stand here today, sometimes have in one office the acting governor when he's out of state. He's in state today. But sometimes I'm the acting governor, the lieutenant governor, the Secretary of State. You pay me one salary as the Secretary of State, and I do not get a pension. And I'd like to stand here and tell you for the next about 20 minutes what it is you're getting your money, what it is you're paying $141,000 to me to do every day. And it's kind of a simple concept. It's to put people back to work, encourage you to grow in New Jersey, give you confidence that if you hire one more person in New Jersey, you're going to be able to pay that person as we go forward. Call companies and ask them to grow in New Jersey, ask them to stay in New Jersey, ask them to expand in New Jersey, or ask them to come to New Jersey. That's what I do every day. And we do it through an entity called the New Jersey Partnership for Action. It's a three-prong attack on job growth in New Jersey. It's the EDA, which is the Bank of New Jersey. Everybody here has to have heard from Karen Franzini. I mean, you cannot be in business and not know something about the Economic Development Authority. It's the bank for New Jersey. Then we have a separately funded 501c3 corporation called Choose New Jersey. We just stole away the economic development czar from Texas to bring everything they're doing in Texas to New Jersey, put a little New Jersey spin on it, and then market New Jersey outside of New Jersey. You do not want me, your lieutenant governor, going on boondoggles all around the country and all around the world in order to market New Jersey. You're broke, I'm broke, the taxpayers wouldn't tolerate it, so what did we do? We went out and got a privately funded 501c3 and hired somebody privately, just much like what the chamber does, to go out and bring leads into New Jersey. When the leads come into New Jersey, the EDA will finance it or leverage assets so we can finance that company to come into New Jersey. And then you come to my office, the one-stop shop for New Jersey. Now, you all know, better than I do, the reputation for how much fun it is to do business with Trenton. Anybody have any nightmare stories about the DEP? All right, not even just the DEP. Two separate departments of the same DEP giving you two different answers about the same subject. Let's say sewers. Can anybody talk about water? Those are the problems that make it hard for you to have confidence that New Jersey's turning itself around. Those are the problems, those inconsistent answers from state agencies, contradictory, inconsistent, siloed state agencies that this governor has asked me to stop. Set up a one-stop shop. You want to come and do business in New Jersey? You need a permit to do business in New Jersey? You want to expand in New Jersey? You pick up the phone and you call one person whose salary you happen to pay. You call me. Now, any of you heard this speech before, you know I'm about to give you my cell phone number. See, somebody has it. There are some people that inevitably after a year have my cell phone memorized. I'm going to give you my cell phone because I'm dead serious about cutting through the red tape in New Jersey, and the only way I can think of to do that fast, in a way that you have confidence will actually succeed, is if I give you my cell phone number. Now, you pay for the cell phone. It's not my BlackBerry. There's another concept. The taxpayer who a public official understands that the taxpayers are the people that pay for my cell phone, and they pay for my lights that go on every day. They pay for my help in the back of the room. They pay for the trooper that takes me to work every day. Every day I go to work, I remember and am reminded that it's your money, your property taxes at work, and I have an obligation to give you your money's worth. I give you my cell phone number, not so you can call and complain about whatever the funding problem is of the day. I invite you to do that, but do that on my website or on my email address. If I need you to use my cell phone for a very specific purpose, to cut through the red tape. You're having a problem with a state agency? Text me, call me. You're having a problem with a business who's got one foot out the door? Text me, call me. That's all you have to do. Give me the name and the phone number of the problem, and I will do everything else, not myself. I got an army of people helping me. You pay them too. But I will make sure you get an answer. You might not always like the answer, but one of the most frustrating things about New Jersey is you sometimes couldn't get an answer. Not only did you not get the courtesy of a callback from the people whose salary you pay, but you couldn't get a straight answer out of them. Well, the one thing I know about this administration is we're not afraid to say what we mean and say it out loud. You may not always like it, but you're entitled to know. You're entitled to know what your elected public officials are thinking. You're entitled to an answer from the people who are obligated to get you permits if you're entitled to them. And be very careful to say, you may not always like the answer. You may not always be entitled to that permit, but I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you whether or not you're entitled to that permit, and I'm going to sit you down with all of the people that need to be sat down, the DOT, the DEP, the DCA, the policy office of the governor's office, the municipal leaders if you need them. I'm going to sit them all down at a table. I'm going to hear you out. We're going to figure out what the problem is. We're going to there's another concept for public officials. We're going to outline the steps to achieve the goal, and then we're going to end up with an answer. by the end of the day or the week or the calendar, whatever's reasonable under the circumstances. So I asked the reporters in the room not to put it in the newspaper, because there are a lot of other things. People have a lot to say to their elected public officials. I need to use that cell phone number to cut through the red tape to make your jobs easier. The state of New Jersey needs to get out of your way. You guys are the expert at how to grow your business. You're the expert on how to grow this economy. And the one thing I know is if we are not going to increase taxes to provide the services we need in the state of New Jersey, then what I need to do is bring more people here to pay more taxes. And the way to do that is to put us all back to work. Put us all back to work, turn the economy around. And one way we're going to do it is by getting out of your way. And the way we're going to do that is by cutting through the red tape. Now, put it in your phone. I did not carry my BlackBerry with me. It's in the car. If you put it in the phone, my phone will ring like 1,000 times as I leave the room, but at least you'll have my phone number. Now, you'll say, I'm never calling the lieutenant governor. I'm never going to call the lieutenant governor. I say leave it in your phone, because you never know when some person in state government is standing in the way of you and economic growth. You never know. You know, I get to make all these economic development calls. I like to call big and small companies in New Jersey and people outside of the state and say, thanks for coming to New Jersey. Thanks for staying in New Jersey. We love you. We want you to continue to grow in New Jersey. And at the end of those phone calls, I always give the business person my cell phone. And he always says, I'm never going to need that. Well, let me tell you, there was one guy who said, I'm never going to need that. Fast forward 60 days to June 29th, the day before the June 30th closing. This poor guy had on a piece of property to open a manufacturing plant in New Jersey. And he called me on the phone, and he was desperate. You can tell when business people want to close and they're trying to get all the paperwork together. He had just run into a huge problem with the local town. By no one's fault, through no one's fault, the piece of property he was going to buy was in the wrong part of town. It had increased the cost of the closing by $50,000 because of the nature of the tax code. I said, don't worry, I'll call you back. I got on the phone with the governor's office. Funny how when the governor of the state of New Jersey calls, the local public officials call you back. I got on the phone with the local public officials and explained to the mayor of the town exactly what I just told you, that everybody was going along thinking they had all the proper, they were all in the proper planning areas, and then found out at the last minute, literally the day before the closing, that because of a tax problem, a mistake in the tax law, in the tax paperwork, it was going to cost them another $50,000, and that was a deal breaker under the circumstances. Mayor, do you agree that you were in the wrong tax area? He agreed that the guy would otherwise be entitled to the lower rate. I said, well, if I can get the lawyers on this transaction to agree to take a letter from you about the mistake, will you agree to write the letter? Yes. So I hung up, called the lawyers on the other side. I said, lawyers, will you all agree to take this piece of paper in lieu of the closing? Yes. I got the mayor to write the letter. It went to the lawyers. The lawyers had their closing the next day, and the business is now in operation in New Jersey because that guy saved my cell phone number. It's not always going to work that way. Life is not always perfect. I don't get to tell a lot of those stories. But it's going to be that one time where you're pulling your hair out, you don't know where else to go, and you know what you're doing is the right thing to do. Use the cell phone number. The other thing I want to tell you about the cell phone number, beyond the fact that you pay for it, is that there is nothing more fun in my life than to get a cell phone, a phone call on that cell phone, and have 30 seconds of humana, humana, humana. I didn't think you answered your own phone. I do answer my own phone. If I can, I will pick it up. The only thing I ask you to do is try to do it, before 11 o'clock at night, because we can respond to your problems. That is my job. That is my job. And I can think of no easier way to cut through red tape than to give you direct access. Here's another concept in New Jersey, to your elected public officials. Something I'm obviously a firm believer in. I'm also cutting through red tape. One of the jobs the governor gave me the first day we walked into office was to have a series of public meetings to talk to you about how hard it is to do business. We memorialized that in a permanent red tape review, and we're conducting 3 public meetings this year. We had one last week in Jersey City We'll have another one in July. We'll have another one in September or October. I need you to tell me about this stupid, contradictory, economic growth stopping regulations in New Jersey that make it impossible for you to expand here. Send it to me by email, send it to me by text, send it to redtape.review@sos.nj.us. And I will assure you of one thing, we'll review it. Last year, because of our own internal review, we were able to lower the number of pages. Now, I know this is kind of a simplistic way of looking at it, but we were able to eliminate a full 66% of the pages that were proposed in New Jersey year over year. From 09 to 10, there were 66% fewer rules and regulations proposed by the regulatory agencies. Why? Because we asked them to consider whether or not there was an adequate federal protection for whatever the rule or regulation was they were proposing. And if there was adequate regulations, adequate federal protection, then I went to them and said, well, you ought to write me a book on what is so special about New Jersey that the federal regulations are no longer adequate. Now, you know, state employees, they're not going to write a book. They're just going to say, the federal regulations are enough. At least that's the concept. To use your common sense, when you propose a regulation in the state of New Jersey, if it's adequately regulated on the federal side, then why isn't the federal standard good enough for us? So that alone, I think, decreased the number of proposed regulations by 66%, a full 50% less than in 08 to 010. So I think we're making progress. We have a long way to go. But I want you to know that we're working very hard at it, and I need your input on those regulations that make it hard. Everybody wants clean air. Everybody wants clean water. Everybody wants regulations that preserve the public safety. This is not about clean air, clean water, public safety. Everybody wants that. That's good for the economy. That's good for our quality of life. I have 3 kids that live here. We want to have a safe, wonderful quality of life that we've all learned and come to expect in New Jersey. But we don't need to do it in such a way that we stifle the economy of New Jersey. So my goal is to get us off of dead last in small business climate and move us up to maybe 47 or 48. I'll take that. Some kind of progress. Just to show that there's hope. Just to show that tomorrow's going to be better in New Jersey. Because if I can convince you that your elected public officials really do have your best interest in mind, then you're going to feel a little more confident in the economy. That person you might not wanted to have hired, maybe you'll go out and hire them. Or even better, maybe you'll call me and tell me what customer you would like to see in New Jersey, and I'll pick up the phone and call that customer and ask him to come to New Jersey. That's my job. So that's why I hope today, I could go on for another half an hour and I won't. I hope today I give you some concept of what we're doing in New Jersey, in my office, in the office of Lieutenant Governor. I know anybody paying any attention to the budget saw that the governor hears you, understands that you as businesses are very overburdened. He's proposed $200 million worth of business tax cuts over time. These types of cuts will help Ocean Spray stay here in Burlington County, will help Burlington County Coat Factory, there's a concept, stay in Burlington County. I want you to know that if you need those details, I'll get them to you. It's a very good story, and we're very actively trying to decrease the burden of taxes on you so you stay here and grow here, and we bring companies here. Things like the single sales factor is going to be phased in, net operating losses is going to be phased in, reduction in the S-Corp minimum tax will be phased in, $200 million just this year, $2.6 billion over the next 4 years worth of business tax credits. And I'll get that to the chamber so you can look at it online. No need to take your time with that now. We have had some great successes here just in Burlington, but just in the Burlington area. I told you the coat factory, the hospital is opening. That's 1,000 jobs. Lockheed has won a couple of contracts, I understand. I know the governor was here at Lockheed. We've been here at Radwell. We're working very hard with Radwell to keep them in New Jersey. It's a tough economic environment, but at least what you're hearing, I think, is we're going to fight. We're going to fight to give you the confidence you need to grow. We're going to fight to bring companies here, to keep companies here. because it is a fight. I don't know how many of you in this room got personal phone calls from Governor Rendell over the last 8 years, but many, many people I talked to have gotten those phone calls. Well, I'll tell you, they're getting those same phone calls from the governor of the state of New Jersey now. They're getting those up close and personal visits from me. I'm in a dead heat with Governor Cuomo over bringing Hunts Point over to New Jersey. That's 3,000 jobs. We did revel down in Atlantic City when people said we couldn't do it. We're working very hard to fix Xanadu up in Bergen County when people said we couldn't do it. And I think you're going to see as we go forward more of this same, I'm going to fight for these jobs type of attitude. I hope in your own world you're seeing the change in the business environment. Now, I'm a lieutenant governor, but I'm also a wife and a mother. I have 3 kids. So let me spend 2 seconds talking about property taxes, because I know what you're all thinking. If you don't fix the property tax problem in New Jersey, then we're not going to be able to stay here no matter how welcoming you are to us, Lieutenant Governor. And we're working on that. You know, you saw a 2% cap on your property taxes. There's some gaping holes in that, the pension and health care. You're going to see an active debate in Trenton over the next 3 months over pension and health care reform. Fabulous conversation. A fabulous conversation. Why? Because we were not having that conversation a year ago. We were not having a conversation about how to put our people back to work a year ago. We were not fighting over who has the most progressive pro-business rules and laws and incentive programs a year ago. So we're now engaged in how to lower your property taxes by fixing pension reform, by fixing health care on the statewide basis. And that's a fabulous debate, one we don't shy away from. It's ugly. It's been tough. You know, I know. I send my kids to public schools. My aid was cut. And imagine being the 18-year-old son of the lieutenant governor of the state of New Jersey in a public school last year. It was a lot of teachable moments for my high schooler. But the point is, they're worth fighting for. It's not going to be easy for us. That day is, that's gone. That sun is set. It's not going to be easy for us. We got a mess. The goal here is to make it easier for our kids to stay here or to come back here after they go to college. That's the goal, and that's a goal worth fighting for. So you're going to see a little fighting in Trenton. Everybody has their own ideas of how to fix it. The good part of the story is we're all convinced we can fix it. No matter what side of the aisle you're on, you're going to see us fix that. And that's why you might see a lot of conversation, out loud conversation in Trenton. But what I like to tell people is, yeah, it's worth fighting for, so it's going to be ugly. We have all have our own very strong views on what is right and what is wrong. So in the morning, you're going to see big conversation on the steps of the State House, and everybody's going to be yelling and screaming. And then they're going to go down to the governor's office, and they're going to see some more yelling and screaming. The key, though, is from my perspective as a taxpayer in New Jersey, after everybody gets that out of their system, the budget hearings and all that, they all end up sitting around the table and saying, okay, now that we got that out of our system, how are we going to fix the problems of New Jersey for our kids and our grandkids? So I have faith in the system. It's a tough one sometimes, but like I said, I kept my bulletproof vest. If you have any questions for me, you want to ask me right now, I understand I have a few minutes. If you have any questions you want to text me, I'll get back to you. If you want to email me, I'll get back to you with that too. I thank you for listening to me for a little bit too long. I hope I gave you kind of like the 30,000-foot view of what we're doing, and I hope I provided you with a little hope that we will be better off tomorrow than we are today because of all the work we're all doing together. Thank you. Couple? Ah, man, was Illinois fun or what? Can I tell you the story about Illinois? For those of you that don't know, what happened was the first week in office for the new Illinois governor, who happens to be he increased taxes 66% in order to close his budget gap. Very different stark contrast to what we did a year ago. We, cut spending. They increased taxes, personal and corporate business taxes, 66%. So we had canceled all of our marketing campaigns in the state government last year. And so I had a little pot of money, like $250,000 for marketing. It was earmarked to marketing. It wasn't taxpayer dollars. It was money that came out of the EDA, some of their fees generated from some of the deals they did. So I had $250,000 in my pocket, and we had the Illinois government literally patting themselves on the back for increasing taxes 66%. So, you know, my governor, it was too much fun to pass up. You know, they don't pay us enough not to have a little fun sometimes. So we ran ads into Illinois saying, come to New Jersey. Come to New Jersey. We will not balance our budget on the backs of our businesses. And so it has led to a lot of focus on what we're doing in New Jersey in a positive way. You know, people aren't talking about New Jersey and using the term Snooki or Sopranos or Jersey Shore House or Jersey Shore or Angry Housewives of New Jersey or whatever. They're talking about our governor who has a straight, not too subtle way of talking about New Jersey in a way that we can all be proud of, I think. So we are working on bringing Illinois companies here to answer your question. We are working on bringing Illinois companies here. I'm actively engaged in some pharmaceuticals, but I'm not going to tell you because then they won't come, because the Chamber of Commerce in Illinois, who is using my cell phone to call me and tell me to stop trying to cherry pick their businesses, will start to attack them and give them incentives. So I'm not going to tell you where they're coming from. I will tell you that we have had a successful campaign. I talked to a couple of logistics companies that want to come to New Jersey because they weren't aware of how much we have to offer in New Jersey in terms of a qualified workforce. And, you know, I'm singing to the choir when I tell you that 1/3 of the population of the entire United States lives within a tank of gas of New Jersey. And that's a figure that takes people, you know, if I want to be a solar panel guy and I want to go centrally located, well, I'm coming to New Jersey, which is why just last week we surpassed California in the number of solar panels we're generating in per capita in New Jersey, just to take an example. So I think we're winning, but then I would say that anyway. Yes.
Thank you for being here again. You talked about cutting some of the red tape and streamlining the process. And as a developer, commercial developer, what's being done, I guess, by your department or by the governor's office to kind of for long-term solutions with regards to the multiple agencies on the state level that one has to go through, whether it be the TSA, the DC, you know, all those various DEP, NJDOT.
Right. The question was, what are we doing to streamline government? How am I, in fact, a one-stop? Basically, the governor last week signed a piece of legislation that makes me the home for permits. If you have a large, and we haven't yet defined large, but if you have a large economic development project, pick up the phone and call me first, or if it's in the middle of the process, pick up the phone, because according to this legislation, my job now is to channel that project through all of state government, not just the state. Everybody knows that only half the problem is the state. The other half might be our local public officials. So that legislation that was passed in a bipartisan manner, as a result, by the way, of the work that the Red Tape Group did last year, should allow, it requires me as the Secretary of State to get you the permits you need in an orderly fashion. So I bring them all to the table. I had 2 projects, and I won't give you the names of the projects, but 2 projects people were complaining were being held up because of the absence of state coordination. And in my office, I didn't bring like the chiefs of staffs and the clerks to talk about this problem. I brought Lee Solomon, the head of the BPU. I brought Bob Martin, the head of the DEP. I brought Jim Simpson, the head of the transportation office, and they brought their seconds. And we sat around and in the room, not with the applicant there, but internally to figure out a workaround so the project could get done. Whether it be water or transportation issues or cuts in the road, that's what I do. And it's not anymore, you know, push it down to the DEP so some person in the DEP can make a decision inconsistent with some other part of the DEP. Now I pick up the phone and call Bob Martin and bring him to my office. And that's how important what you do is. That's how clearly we understand the need to turn around state government. It's no longer the luxury of saying, you know, let some bureaucrat in Trenton make that decision. No. Your elected public officials and their cabinet members are now involved directly in this. And I don't care if it's a Tideland Council lease. I walked into a backlog of maybe 200 of them when I was sworn in. I don't care if it's a Tideland lease that's holding you up, or the inability to hook up, here's a concept, to sewers in New Jersey, planning area 1, planning area 2. If we can work around it, I will bring the principals to the table to work around it so you get an answer. You may not always like the answer. I'm very careful to try to say that. You're not going to get what you're not entitled to under the law. But if we can work it out, we will work it out, and we will work it out with the principals, the cabinet members themselves.
Thank you for working on bettering the process for development. My question is, certain agencies in the state don't even use voicemail. They just let their phones ring and don't pick up, and you may know some of those agencies, but you can't get through to them.
I'm dead serious. You might be talking about the unemployment insurance agency, because in the last couple of months they had real technical problems. There's a lot of people, and I've called use the cell phone. Use the cell phone. You have direct access, and there is nothing more important than a public official answering your phone. Period. That's the very least you could do. So I apologize for that on behalf of the state government. Second, you have my cell phone number. Shame on you if you don't use it now. I get to say, were you at the Chamber of Commerce meeting, and did you get that cell phone number? But the other thing you need to know is, in the state of New Jersey, because of budget cutbacks, you all, I assume, pay some attention to IT, and you invest some money in IT, because the enemy of a bureaucracy is computers or intellectual property. That's the enemy of bureaucracy. It has not been paid to enough in the bureaucracy, and it's also very expensive. So it's not an apology, it's an explanation. We need to do better there, and we're working on doing better there. We're trying to set aside pieces of the pie. I mean, there is just no reason when you have a single house development, you can't push one button and get electrical, plumbing, and whatever else in the air conditioning. There's no reason not to do that. So we're working on trying to expedite permits where they can be expedited. But if you don't get the courtesy of a telephone call, that's ridiculous. And you have my cell. I'm serious about that. Because it is funny how a phone call from the Lieutenant Governor's office gets an answer. Okay. Yes?
Last question.
Could you speak and share what the state's doing to keep ocean spray in Bordentown here in the state?
Yes, absolutely. You will have no bigger advocate for keeping ocean spray in the state of New Jersey than Assemblyman Malone. I mean, he has come to the governor's office, explained to them very specifically what the problem is, and in the governor's budget, the proposal, remember everybody, there's going to be a little bit of a debate between now and June, but in the governor's proposal, we have a provision that would help ocean spray, and I got to hear it's, and don't laugh, only in the government could you write this, exempt the non-exempt agricultural cooperatives, which among many others would include some rational taxing of ocean spray. So very, very much aware of the issues facing ocean spray, and very much aware that the same issues that face ocean spray face any company. People have a choice. Small companies, not so much, but these big companies, they can go anywhere. Burlington Coat Factory could go anywhere. The company that's staying in New Jersey up north, Panasonic, my God, they have offices all over the world. They could go anywhere. So they have a choice. So our goal this year was to incentivize those that are here already to stay, and to do it in a way that balances the economic environment we're in and the tough budget situation we have with the realities of, if we don't keep these companies here, then we're lost anyway. I mean, I don't need to tell you, between 2004 and 2008, we lost $70 billion worth of wealth. That's not just people. Those are jobs and businesses gone. We lost so many people in the last 10 years that we're losing a congressional seat. That's anywhere from 650,000 to 1 million people. So we have to incentivize them to stay. We have to. And one of the things this governor has done is proposed $200 million just this year in pro-growth tax incentives to have these companies stay. And one of them is specifically would address, as I understand it, the issues involving ocean spray. Yeah. All right, I think that's the last question, right? Well, thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. And I'd just like to say that, just to add on the things that we said at Virtual, we're opening up a new replacement facility in Camden County come May. The difference between the regulatory agencies 2 years ago and now is night and day, and that's a lot to the Lieutenant Governor's work. So thank you. Thank you for your candor, your enthusiasm, and your eloquence, which I've always appreciated when I've seen you speak. And we thank you for sharing that with us today. This concludes our program. Thank you very much for sharing your lunch with us, and we enjoyed your company. Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this program from the Burlington County Chamber. For more information, visit bccoc.com or call 856-439-2520. We produce these programs in the studios of Professional Podcasts in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, on the web at professionalpodcasts.com. For everyone at the Burlington County Chamber of Commerce, this is Steve Lubetkin. Thank you for joining us, and take good care.